Okay, so hopefully we'll make this last hour of Build worth it to you all. We're going to start off by talking about the rapidly expanding set of opportunities for developers in cybersecurity. Now, we're not going to take a lot of time on this. I know you guys want to get into looking at the code and the demos, so just a few minutes to kind of cover this. And I think it's an important topic as you think about where to invest in your own career and professional development, or where your organization can focus in terms of expanding into new products or service areas. I'll also introduce you to the ways that Microsoft can help you to capitalize on these opportunities with APIs and services and communities. Next, Preeti will demo how you can build security solutions that connect to Microsoft using sample code and connectors and queries. And we're going to really spend the bulk of our time on these demos, really drilling down into some specific scenarios. We have the pleasure of hearing from our recent Graph Security Hackathon winner, Darren, about his experiences building the winning apps. He's got what I think are some really great tips and tools and techniques that you guys can apply to your own application development. And then we'll leave you with some resources to help you get started on your own security developer journey. So we'll jump right in. The move to the cloud and this increasingly mobile workforce have really pushed out the boundary of an enterprise beyond the physical perimeter, which used to really serve as that security boundary in the past. Data and users and systems are everywhere. Meanwhile, the frequency and sophistication and veracity of attacks are ever growing. So organizations today are tasked with this increasingly hard job of securing this expanded digital estate. I'm sure this isn't news to anyone in this room, but I don't know if you'd seen this number, which is that as a result, organizations are ramping up their security investments to the tune of $124 billion in 2019. This is up from around $20 billion about a decade ago, from the best numbers that I could find. So huge opportunities exist in the area of cybersecurity. And today, organizations are investing in literally dozens of different solutions across multiple categories as part of their defense in-depth approach. So this includes things like identity and access control, data protection, endpoint protection, network protection, and much, much more. As a result, though, the ability for organizations to quickly extract value from this diverse and somewhat siloed solution set has become ever more challenging. This creates a significant opportunity for developers to build solutions that augment their existing solutions, but also that integrate the security across their products, services, across their tools and their workflows. It's a very good time to be a developer in the security space. So let's talk about some of those specific opportunities. What are we hearing from developers about sort of how they envision the opportunity, what areas they're exploring and investing in? First is around the integration challenges. So for organizations that are deploying, again, literally dozens of different security solutions, integrating each of these can be quite challenging. In most cases, each of these solutions has their own API, their own schema that you have to understand and write against, which makes it really hard to integrate these solutions, to maintain those integrations over time. And attackers also take advantage of what they know are gaps that exist across these siloed solutions. So we believe that by connecting a customer's security technologies, developers can play an important role in streamlining security operations and also just improving the organization's overall security posture by closing those gaps. Organizations also often have unique opportunities specific to their industry or their operating model or the regulatory requirements that they operate under. Think about the difference between securing a retailer with a number of point-of-sale units versus a utility organization, which is going to be heavy on closed infrastructure. Very, very different sets of challenges, different types of attackers targeting their organizations. So as a result, there are lots of opportunities to sort of build or augment or extend existing security capabilities to really meet those customer industry-specific requirements. And finally, if you haven't heard, there is a significant skills shortage, staffing shortage in the security space. Organizations just cannot hire enough people to manage all of these security solutions or to manage all of the security alerts that are being generated by these solutions. That creates lots of opportunities for organizations to deliver services on top of these. Managed security service providers, both big and small, are really getting good traction and being able to deliver services to fill these staffing gaps. The other area that we see this impacting is automation. So big push toward automation and lots of opportunities to help organizations automate security operations and threat response, building automation workflows and related kinds of activities. So this certainly isn't exhaustive, but those are some of the key opportunities that we see for developers. So we keep talking about this opportunity for you, but I wanted to take just a minute to explore this question about who you are. This is not an existential question. So it's too late in the day for that. But I did want to talk a little bit about the kinds of organizations and the kinds of roles and the kinds of developers that can take advantage of these opportunities we just talked about. So first, let's talk about the kinds of organizations. So of course, there are security ISVs, people that are building security applications, commercial security applications that they deploy to their customers. So lots of opportunities to integrate their security technologies with Microsoft and others to streamline things for our mutual customers. We talked about managed security service providers or managed service providers that are developing applications to support the security management and monitoring services. So yes, there's a great opportunity to deliver services to customers, but MSSPs want to do that in the most efficient way they can, and so they're building applications and tools and workflows to help support their delivery of those services to customers in a cost-effective way. There are IT service and system integrators that are helping customers integrate security tools and workflows, architecting these security deployments and helping organizations figure out how to connect these different solutions. And then, of course, developers that exist within enterprises who are building custom security apps, spending a lot of time integrating security tools. A lot of them are also focusing on automating security processes within their particular organization. In addition to supporting a large or creating opportunities for a large set of organizations, within those organizations we see kind of a broader set of folks engaged in what, development of security solutions, building value on top of those solutions. So, of course, yes, there are traditional developers using APIs and SDKs, kind of traditional developer sort of folks, but we also see increasingly toolsmiths or security analysts that may sit within a security operations center who are security experts, who are tasked with helping to figure out how to automate the work that they do on an ongoing basis, or building tooling to help their particular job role or function be more effective. So these folks that are security experts, but not necessarily coders. And then even we see some stretching into this area of data science. Maybe less data scientists, it's feedback we got in a roundtable we had just yesterday, but certainly building the infrastructure that's needed to support their data scientists in doing security analytics, analyzing large sets of security signals to identify potentially malicious activities. And then I've kind of alluded to this already, but a diverse set of things that folks are building. So yes, it's web apps, native apps, bots, background processes, kind of the more traditional stuff. But we also see them being tasked with building out dashboards and reporting. And they may do that not in a custom web application, but in Power BI or in a security information and event management system. They may be helping to power data analytics, as we mentioned. So maybe not actually doing the data science, but making sure that they're supporting those efforts. And again, the third one, or the last one, being automation. Big focus in the security space around automation, as we've discussed. And so there are ways to do that, both in code and also we're going to talk about some codeless options to support that. So regardless of who the you is, Microsoft is here to help you achieve more. And really think about that across three dimensions. First, building solutions that integrate with Microsoft really help you to unlock value for Microsoft Cloud customers, and there are a lot of them. So 19 million Microsoft Cloud customers exist today, and that includes 95% of the Fortune 500 businesses, governments, as well as startups. So there's a big pool of Microsoft Cloud customers, cloud security customers, that you can tap into by building additional value for them on top of their Microsoft solutions. We also hope to help you accelerate and simplify the work that you do in terms of building applications. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but there are things like a unified Microsoft Graph Security API, which help you to streamline integration across multiple Microsoft and third-party security technologies. There are connectors that we're building for Azure Logic apps and other security orchestration systems. There are samples and guidance that we publish to help you get started and to communicate and share with your peers. And then, of course, by virtue of being Microsoft, you have the benefit of all of the Microsoft Cloud platforms and services that help you to collect and analyze large amounts of varied security data and build apps at global scale. So let's drill down just a little bit into the specific things that we make available to help you get this job done. So we offer a combination of APIs and services that can be used by developers to build these connected security solutions. And both of those are supported by a community where developers can engage with their peers, share code samples, and that sort of thing. So they can first leverage those APIs to develop integrated applications, and those applications can be pretty varied, but we see things like streamlining security management, improving threat protection, speeding response. And there are a couple of ways that they can do that. First, again, for those cross-product scenarios, the Microsoft Graph Security API provides a unified interface and a common schema for integrating, let's say, security alerts across multiple security technologies. It's also part of Microsoft Graph, so it makes it super easy to plug into other data or other kind of workloads like Office or Active Directory, which are also part of Microsoft Graph. And then there are some cases where you really need to go deep into a particular Microsoft security product or service, and each of those offer native APIs and capabilities that help you to do that. In addition to kind of the traditional set of APIs and SDKs that are available to developers, there are a growing set of Azure cloud services that help with security analytics and automation. The first of those is Azure Sentinel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. We announced that just at RSA, so a month or so ago. But it is the first cloud-native SIEM, a security information and event management solution. And it comes with lots of Microsoft Cloud event data sort of baked in, or it can be enabled in a simple click. So you've got this cloud-scale analytics and information and event management solution with lots of data flowing in, which you can connect other data sources to, your own data sources, your customers' data sources. And you can run analytics on top of that. So you kind of get more of a finished analytics service that you can connect your data to and run your analytics on top of. So a bit of a new kind of opportunity for developers, but certainly an important one. We also have services for automation, Azure Logic apps and Microsoft Flow that enable you to automate security workflows. And again, we have some connectors that are available to make that job even easier for you. And these are going to be more codeless options. So you can really, within the Logic Apps design view, for example, you can construct workflows that perform a variety of security operations without having to write any code. Preeti's going to show us an example of one of those here in a minute. And then finally, our Azure Notebooks, which are based on Jupyter and Power BI. So Azure Notebooks enables you to get lots of data into one place to do analytics. We see a lot of hunting going on there. And you can build samples and queries for Azure Notebooks. And then finally, Power BI. There's a connector for that as well, which enables you to very, very easily kind of bring in security data into Power BI, mash that up with other data that you might have to build those dashboards and reports. Okay, before we move on, this is a little bit of an eye chart. You can take a picture. It'll be available in the deck. It's also available in a white paper that we just published. But I'll just give you a little bit of a framing here, so as you refer to this later, you'll understand a bit about how this is designed and how to read it. So on the left-hand side are the REST APIs that are available from Microsoft. So again, Microsoft Graph Security API provides that unified integration for cross-product scenarios. This is today primarily alerts and threat indicators. Alerts, threat indicators, and secure score. There are also some actions available. We'll be building that out over time. So again, kind of go broad on cross-product scenarios. Go deep into Azure Security Center if you want to access information about your Azure security posture or threat protection. Go deep into Azure Active Directory identity protection for information about users and risky sign-ins. Into Azure Sentinel to push in those event logs for further analysis. You can go deep into Windows Defender ATP to find out about networks and devices and files and users that are seen on that particular endpoint. Go deep with Microsoft Cloud App Security to look across user activities that are happening in SaaS applications. Microsoft information protection for things like classification, labeling, and protection of data. And Office 365 for information about users and admins, policies, and actions. So each of these REST APIs are available for you to leverage. And then if we kind of look across the chart here, we get a little bit of a view of what kinds of ways you can also interface with these Azure services. So some of them offer SDKs. Some of them have data connectors and dashboards already built into Azure Sentinel. Some of them have connectors available for Azure Logic Apps, Microsoft Flow, and Power Apps, again, making it easy to build those automation workflows. Many of them offer PowerShell modules, Power BI connectors, and then samples for Azure notebooks. So again, this will be available, or feel free to grab a picture, but it gives you a little bit of a roadmap of what is available today and what the integration options are for each of them. Okay, with that, I'm going to pass it on to Preeti, and she's going to sort of apply this chart to some particular scenarios. So one of the objectives we have is to help you guys understand sort of when to use what based on your particular scenario. So we're going to take a scenario-based pivot, and we're going to look at what APIs, what can we actually use to achieve a couple of featured scenarios. There are lots of other scenarios, lots of things that you can do beyond what we're going to show you, but hopefully this will give you a couple of examples of how to apply this sort of framework of capabilities and kind of get you thinking about what you can do as well. Okay?
Thanks, Sarah. Going on to the scenarios. So these are the 3 scenarios we'll be delving into with demos. I'm Preeti Krishna, and I'm a program manager with Microsoft, just to introduce myself and get going. Yep. Okay, so security management is, it involves categorizing. There are multiple security alerts, and the alert volume is pretty huge for organizations. So organizations are constantly challenged with categorizing and prioritizing their security alerts and investigations and automating those as well for their security operations. So it also involves reporting out your security alerts that you've categorized and prioritized and your investigation statuses too. So all of these are basically sub-scenarios that you can break down your main scenario into for security management. In this particular demo, we are going to look at a web application designed using Graph Security API for the broad scenarios of getting all your alerts in a unified schema across different security providers in one pane of glass. And then we are going to pivot into deeper investigations and deeper context from Azure Active Directory identity protection. So let's get going on this. So out here in this dashboard, I can see all my providers, alerts from different providers like Azure Security Center, Palo Alto Networks, Windows Defender ADP, and I can also see the number of high severity alerts pertaining to them. One more, let's actually go ahead and start looking at some more queries. Now in this particular case, I'm just running a query of my most recent alert across the different providers. So it's a top 1 query. Since it's using Microsoft Graph Security API, it is an OData query. The query is available out here. This is the REST API query, and then there is the SDK query as well out here. So I can see that all these alerts are coming in from different providers, and these are the recent most alerts that I have from different providers as well. Let's pivot it a bit differently to take a look at some additional data. Suppose I want my medium severity alerts, and I'm looking for different set of severity alerts across the board. I can see that I have quite a few mass share alerts out here from Cloud Application Security. Let's drill deeper into one of these. Somebody has been sharing a lot of files recently. Aldo. Okay, so this is the kind of details that I get from the Graph Security API. I can get details on the host information, the user information associated with the alert, information about the severity itself of the alert, the category of the alert, and additional details that you can use to do your initial investigations. Now, I want to find more about this user Aldo so that I can inform my next step of investigations. So what I'm doing out here is I am getting additional details by tapping into the Azure Active Directory Identity Protection Risky Users API to get the detail on the risk level and the risk state and risk details of Aldo. So now I can see that Aldo is a high-risk user, and he's confirmed to be compromised, and his admin has also confirmed that. So there needs to be an actionable step out here for Aldo, just so that we can ensure that we reduce the volume of alerts. So this is kind of an example of a scenario where you get the broad context from the Microsoft Graph Security API and drill down into deeper details using other product-specific APIs. Just continuing on to that, suppose I want to take more automated responsive action right here on this. So there is the Azure Logic Apps integration that is available with the Microsoft Graph Security API connector that enables you to build workflows for an automated alert management as well as response action. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to look at an example workflow of how this is possible. So in this particular workflow, we are just looking at different alerts using the Graph Security API connector. And for each of those alerts, the workflow, we are looking for the user information in that alert. Now, when a user is detected in that alert, we are just going ahead and sending an email with options to the user using the Outlook connector. So the user email with options means user can select, yes, this is not an issue, versus no, this is really an issue that needs investigation. Let's apply this case to an example alert that we've seen just earlier, like an unfamiliar location or login location alert, which is a medium severity alert. So just switching back here in a dashboard, we do have medium severity alerts, and basically some of these are like impossible travel activity. So the impossible travel activity is we can actually get user response and close out on it in an automated manner. So what we're doing here is when we're sending an email with options to the user can select, yeah, I was at that place at that time, so this is fine, it's a legit operation. In which case, your alert can be automatically resolved based on user input using the Microsoft Graph Security API connector. That's happening here. Otherwise, if it's really an issue, it goes to the team's investigation channel for further investigations and closure. So this is an automated approach to automating your response as well, and not only just getting a dashboard view of it. So this and more options are let's actually look at the ASP.NET application that we looked at, the web app. So the Logic Apps is pretty simple, and we have this shared as in our Graph Security API GitHub repo out in the playbooks section out here that you can leverage, and you can contribute more playbooks out there as well. Now let's delve deeper into the web application. Like, how did we build this connected experience? And this code is shared on the Security Dev GitHub site, and we'll have links to all of these at the end as well. So out here, what we have is this is a ASP.NET MVC and an Angular application. And we have the first step you can access this on GitHub and download it and get started. Basically, we are looking at setting our authentication information, which is basically, since it's Azure AD authentication and it uses OAuth 2.0, you need to register your application on Azure Active Directory. There are step-by-step instructions for doing that as well out here in this GitHub site. So you can enter your application ID, you can enter your application secret, and your redirect URL. Basically, and that's all that's required here. And then that gets you the authentication path. Then what you can do is you can go ahead, we can take a look at where the services are getting called. So if you go to the graph service, this is the place where you get the access token. So it all starts with the authentication to the graph itself, so that using that client ID and the secret that you entered, you actually get an access token that you can use to authenticate further and access data from the graph. Now with this, we can actually drill further down and see where we are actually getting the details of the users. So risky users is out here, which is a call to the Azure Active Directory Identity Protection Risky Users, which is also a graph service. And that's here. The risky user async method does that. And this is the query for that, the risky users query. It queries the endpoint for graph as well, but it's a different service under graph to get that information. And we can also look at how the update alert happens, which is a call to the Graph Security API. And basically the alert details itself, which is covered in this method, which is a call to the Graph Security API to get the list of alerts based on the query. And the query is very much formatted here, and the call is made further down. So this is basically an example of a web app that can be built to call the REST API, or you can even use the SDK as well for this. Now, just switching on to, we looked at a scenario of how to do security management of applications, right? And how do you prioritize and categorize your alerts? And that's a scenario we looked at. Now, talking about alerts, what triggers alerts, right? Alerts can be triggered by detections. And customers can also enter custom detections to generate their own custom alerts. So that is yet another scenario that we're getting into the threat detection space. And there are opportunities there as developers as well, where you can, the threat intelligence platforms, those are available, which helps you to pass on custom threat intelligence indicators from the custom threat intelligence platforms to Azure Sentinel and other Microsoft products. So in this example, we are going to talk about an ISV, Palo Alto Networks, who has integrated with the Graph Security API threat indicators entity, so that Palo Alto customers can pass threat intelligence, custom threat indicators to Azure Sentinel and look at that along with Azure Sentinel alerts and have alerts based on that. So this is an end-to-end scenario. We'll be looking for that. And this is the Palo Alto MindMill dashboard. Basically, what the basic premise, just to introduce the concept, is there are nodes. So there are input nodes and there are output nodes. So input nodes are basically all the feeds and the detections that you can enter, either custom or even from other sources that can be fed into the system. So MindMill, with Palo Alto MindMill, what it does is it takes these input feeds, and then depending on rules that you set, it will send it out to different other security products for it to take action. Azure Sentinel is one such example where a target product which uses these custom feeds. So look at the nodes. And out here in the nodes, we can see the Graph Security API output node configured. And we can see here that this is the prototype. This is where Palo Alto built the integration for integrating with the Graph Security API threat indicators entity. So if you are in the ISV space, or even if you are in the enterprise space where you have homegrown threat intelligence platforms like this, you can integrate with the Graph Security API to pass custom threat intelligence into other Microsoft products and help that scenario. So this is the prototype, and then basically the target product is Azure Sentinel. And if you look at the output nodes graph in terms of where is it, it's a simple graph, basically. It's just getting information from one input node and passing it to Sentinel through this output node. So this is just what is happening here. Let's drill down in the input node and try to pass some custom indicators to see how this works in action. So out here, this is our local DB input custom indicator table. And let's enter an indicator of 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's set it as IPv4. And to just track this, let's give it a name. So the indicator has been added, and basically it will get, let's look at the logs to ensure that it's going out. So yes, it's accepted update and received update, so it's already gone out. Now let's switch our view to Azure Sentinel to see if we have received that indicator and what else can we do with it. So out here, we are going to Azure Sentinel, which is at portal.azure.com, and you can access Sentinel. And we are in the logs section of Sentinel. And in logs, we can see that under Security Insights, we have Threat Intelligence Indicator logs. And that's where we'll find our entities that we just pushed out, indicators that we just pushed out. So now let's run this query. This is a simple Custo query language query that you can build to run and query your logs. So we can see that we have our indicators pushed out here, which is our indicator 1, 2, 3, 4 that is available here. So with this, basically the other opportunity out here is you can even build different kinds of queries for querying different logs and giving that and providing that information as well. So this is yet another opportunity out here to enable customers. Now let's look at, we just generated an indicator. Now if we can see how we can generate an alert using that indicator, how can we use that to build a detection that will generate an alert? So that's what we're trying to do next. And there's yet another opportunity there to build Custo query language detections and share that out or enable it in your enterprises as well for customers. So it's in analytics, and I have built one out here, so I'll just show that. So basically what this does is, this is the indicator query, threat indicator query. So I'm just having a join between my sign-in logs and my threat indicator logs. So we looked at the threat indicator logs where the network IP was 1234, just as an example. So I'm just querying all my threat indicator logs with the network IP, and I'm also querying my sign-in logs for the sign-in IP address. So this is a join so that I'm correlating these two logs with that common network IP information so that if it matches, if my sign-in log has that 1234, and I have already passed the custom indicator saying that I want to block on 1234, alert on 1234, then it'll go ahead and pretty much alert on this. So I can set my alert frequency and period and all those as well, along with this query, and I can turn this, I can just save this so that the next time when I have an alert, it'll actually use this detection to generate the alerts. So this, all these kind of detections, this is an example detection that I should demo to you. But there are more such detections available across the board for Sentinel on a GitHub site, and you can contribute there as well. So these are in Custo query language, and that's yet another possibility here in the threat detection space. Now switching a bit, we looked at security management at alerts and how can we organize and investigate those. And we looked at a couple of options of even taking response in an automated manner using logic apps. We slowly moved into deeper into how can we generate custom alerts. Now, let's take a look at some other alerts. We looked at a mass share alert, right? So that is kind of a class of alerts which is more on the document access and information protection side. So there are some alerts which are basically, if a confidential document crosses your organization's perimeter, then you flag an alert. So those kind of alerts are also surfaced through the Microsoft Graph Security API, and those are Microsoft Information Protection alerts. So now let's look at, in this example, we are going to look at how can we go ahead and label your files or documents to have those kind of tags like highly confidential or some other tags that we can look at too. So basically it gets us to classification and labeling of your documents so that when it crosses the perimeter of your organization or a certain boundary, then it gets flagged for investigation, alert is generated, or it's blocked. And those kind of scenarios were enabled too. So the opportunity here is basically when you talk about ISVs, like Adobe has integrated with Microsoft Information Protection, classification, and labeling solutions as well. So these are the kind of opportunities we can look at in the space. So let's look at a simple demo that will get us to label our documents. So in this case, we are looking at, this demo is also available on GitHub, and it's on the MIP SDK side. And the demo itself basically gives you a list of all the tags or the labels that can be applied to a file. In this case, we're taking an example of an Excel file to apply this to. And let's go ahead and apply the all employees confidential tag to this document. So this is the confirmation that it's applied, the label for this application. I can download this file. Just to see if it really did apply it. It's an Excel file. And this is what we see out here in terms of it's a confidential document and it's accessible only to employees. So this is the labeling demo, basically. And let's look at the code behind this as well. So we're focusing primarily on the labeling scenario demo code for this. And if you look at the default ASPX CS file, I think I put the wrong one, this one, yeah. We can pretty much see out here that this label control and population of labels that happens here. And we looked at the tree view of labels out there, which is basically rendered by this tree view of labels. So we saw highly confidential, and different set of labels. So that's all from here. And basically what we can look here is we're just generating a memory stream of that Excel file. And then ultimately it's calling the file, the apply label function. So now let's take a look at the apply label function because that's where the real action is happening. So that is in file API.cs file. And looking at this, we can see that the file handler is created. The apply label is out here. So it uses the file handler that we have passed, and basically it uses the labeling options to ensure that additional parameters like justification message and metadata associated with the label is also is attached to this. That's what is happening here. And then we are doing the set label operation. So setting the label doesn't commit the label. So there is a separate commit process. So the label is set, and then it's basically committed out here by commit async operation. And then there's a polling to find out whether the commit was successful or not. So that's basically the flow for this. So the entire sample is available in GitHub and the MIP SDK samples for this scenario. So switching back, we looked at different scenarios in terms of how you can enable your security management and investigation and automate those using web apps or even logic apps. There are a bunch of other options too. You can even look at notebooks for big data analytics and try to build models around that to improve your security solutions. So that's yet another option available too. And these are all detailed out in the white paper as well, and that we'll be linking. We'll be providing a link to that as well at the end of this. Threat detection, we looked at how you can build different kinds of threat intelligence platform integrations so that you can surface custom threat intelligence into Microsoft products. Or actually, you can even build custom threat detections in Custo query language and enable that scenario for customers. Then we also looked at information protection, where a part of the information protection, which is labeling, that is possible. And again, tracking and remediation are yet another steps that can be explored, and you can build an end-to-end solution around that too. So the possibilities are limitless within these three scenarios, and we're just talking about three now. There are so many other scenarios yet to be explored and expanded on. With this, I would like to invite Darren on stage, who's our hackathon MS user app developer of the winning app, and would like to ask him to talk more about his app and what challenges he ran into and tips and tricks.
Thanks, Brittany. Is this working? Yep. Cool. Okay, so the Security Graph Hackathon was a recent one. It was open from, I think it was around beginning of December until the end of March, and during that time, it was an open hackathon. It was an online hackathon, and anyone was invited to effectively write an app that integrated with the security graph for security type operations. So I thought about it for a while, pretty much through December, because coming up to Christmas it's pretty crazy in Australia, and thought about what I could probably do around that. And I had a couple of existing customers that had some real business problems that sort of fit some of the scenarios. So I basically slept on it for about a month. And what I came up with is a solution that would provide a single pane of glass and give you information about a user and effectively trying to classify their security posture. I wanted to create something that was relatively simple, something you could look at a glance and sort of say, is this security posture of this user good, not so good, or really bad? So in terms of the criteria that I then used in order to categorize into those sort of three categories, it was like, what does the user look like in the environment? Do they have multi-factor authentication enabled? And if they do have multi-factor authentication enabled, what is the primary method of MFA that they're using? In one of my customers' environments, they enabled Azure MFA 2 years ago, and the Authenticator app wasn't an option then. Now it is. And they're trying to uplift the users to use the Authenticator app. But it's very difficult to understand what the primary method users are actually having for MFA, for example. So if the MFA method was as text message or phone call, then they see that as not being as good a posture as if they're using the Authenticator app. What about their Active Directory password? Has their Active Directory password been pwned? So Troy Hunt, Have I Been Pwned? The website, I'm sure if you're in this room, you've probably all heard of that. Part of some open source software that I'm involved with for identity and access management is LiftNet. And LiftNet have a set of tooling that allows you to effectively, via API, query to see what the status of a user's Active Directory password is. So that was something else I wanted to integrate into this app. What's the user been doing? What's the user most recently been doing? How have they been interacting with the environment? Have they been trying to reset their password? If they've been trying to reset their password a number of times, is it actually them that's trying to reset their password? If it is the user and it's them, chances are they're going to be successful in doing that. But if there's multiple attempts to reset a user's password using Azure Password Reset, maybe it's not actually that user. And again, this forms part of the user's security posture. What is the type of logins for that user? What are they logging in from? Are they logging in from mobile? Are they logging in from a Windows 10 device? Is the Windows 10 device Azure AD joined? Are they on a Windows 7 device? Is it hybrid, a workplace joined or not? And what other devices are registered to them? So basically, in a quick sense, we want that single pane view is what I was looking to achieve of what a user looked like, and to give some indicators about what the categorization of that user was. So this is the architecture of the app that I built. It looks a lot more complicated than what it really is, but in that one diagram, it's trying to show all the bits that go together making it up. Now, I'm not an app developer. I'm an identity and access guy, and I can do some scripting and a bit of PowerShell and a little bit of JavaScript for a little bit of webby stuff. So those are the skills that I had. So I took the bits to put them all together that I could achieve and get the result that I was trying to achieve. So essentially, it's a Node.js app using Bootstrap, a little bit of jQuery, not even any Angular or anything like that, a bunch of font awesome, a little bit of JavaScript, and then a bunch of web requests. And because I didn't want to learn a lot of JavaScript and I needed to authenticate to Microsoft Graph and everything else, in order to do that lifting for me, I used Azure Functions, because Azure Functions is something I've used a lot. I understand it really well. And again, when that's your hammer, every problem looks like that nail. So in the middle is very much where the majority of the logic sits in a bunch of Azure Functions. All the security keys are stored in a key vault. So the access token, a refresh token is stored there, and then they're refreshed and they're rolled, and the app integrates with that. The table storage is there because at the moment you cannot get the MFA methods through Microsoft Graph. So if a user's enrolled in MFA, are they using Authenticator app, phone, voice, that's not currently exposed through Microsoft Graph. That's still on the roadmap. That's still coming, I hear, later this year. So I've got a back-end process that pulls that data out, puts it into Azure Table Storage, and then part of this query, it pulls out what the status is for that user. To get the pwned password status, there's a call into the LiftNet Active Directory password protection piece, which uses the have I been pwned NTLM list of all the pwned passwords. So then we can get the status of the password. And obviously there's Microsoft Graph in there as well. So the APIs that I'm actually calling are all there. The secure score is something you'll see in a minute as part of the app when it loads. That gives you an overall view and summary of how the organization as a whole is on the security score, on if they were perfect, what it would be, where they currently are, and does it need improvement. Current risk events, pulling out the 5 most recent active risk events, so then that also gives you something to look at, and then all those other pieces are pulling out the information that we just talked about. So this tool is really designed to be used by like a service desk or a security officer within an organization. So when a user calls up and says, oh, I'm having problems logging in, or I'm having problems with this, the service desk guy should be able to go to this little web app, type in the user's name, and then get a summary of the user that they're talking to. If the summary of the user they're talking to doesn't look good, their password's been pwned, their authentication for MFA method is text or whatever, then it's the opportunity to say, I'm going to reset your account, so when you log in next, you've got to change your password because your password isn't good enough. Or I'm going to send you a link to change your security info against Azure AD, and you need to use the Authenticator app if you've got a smartphone. Or maybe we'll ship them a physical token, and then they can use an OTP token for their MFA rather than a text message. So I'll show you a demo of what it looks like. So if I refresh this. So this is it loading. So again, I'm not a web developer, I'm not a front-end guy or anything like that. So on load, it's dynamically going out and it's updated the secure score at the top. And then it's got the latest 5 risk events directly out of Microsoft Graph. So this is actually from a live system. So we can see there's a number of anonymous IP risk events, there's a malware risk event, and a few others. So you can click on one of these users straight away. So this is probably more of a security officer looking to see what the most recent events are, and they can click on that, one of those users in the list, and then it goes out and gets the rest of the information about that particular user. So this call's gone off to the Azure Functions, it's gone off, called into the directory, and pulled back and provides a summary of that user. And that user's looking pretty bad. But then we pretty much knew that because it was in the recent risk events. They were doing something they probably shouldn't be doing, or someone on their behalf has been doing that. So we can see a summary there, the MFA methods, the password's been pwned. The risk event must have actually been closed in between because that should probably have been read as well. Their sign-in activity, so you can click on any of these and expand them. So if I click on that, then the dynamic pieces open up and we can see that this particular user is using, looks like he's using probably an iPad and using a Mac. So maybe that is a security risk. And we can find other access about the user, who they work for, what division they're in, et cetera, et cetera. So if I do a new search, the other thing was, more from the service desk side. So when someone calls up the service desk and is asking for some help or some information, simply by typing in their name, you can find that user. And if you type in my name, for example, in this environment, I've actually got 3 accounts. And I've got 3 accounts because I've got a hybrid account, an on-premise Active Directory account that's also synced to Azure AD through AAD Connect. I've got a guest account in the AAD tenant because I'm as a B2B. And then I've also got an admin account that's a cloud-only account. So depending on which one you check on that, it tells you whether it's hybrid, B2B, or cloud. If I click on the B2B account, for example, it's going to go out and get all the information about that user, and I'm looking pretty good. I'm looking pretty good because I don't have an authentication method associated with it because I'm a B2B user, and you don't do MFA in that tenant. I'm looking pretty good because I don't have a password there because it's federated because that's what B2B is. So that's all happy days. If I look at, if I do that search again, and I search on the hybrid account, then I'll get the full rundown. And I'm still looking good because I'm a identity and security guy, right? It would be bad if it wasn't looking good. But then my sign-in activity for here, because you can see it also shows you when MFA has been applied, where I'm logging in from. So funnily enough, I've come in from Sydney and I'm now in Washington this week. So we can see that about me. If I look at my profile here, you can see that I've got a Windows 10 device, Windows 10.0, 17134, workplace joined, and that's the name of my device. All that's just pulled straight out of the directory. So that's about it for the app. In terms of, what's the slides on? Number? In terms of tips and tricks, with Azure Functions doing a lot of the heavy grunt work for this, when I was writing it locally and all in VS Code, you're basically running it local. So with Azure Functions, you've got cross-origin resource scripting issues. So if you're doing something like this for the first time and you're not a developer like me, F12, developer tools, network, look for the errors, see something like cause, and then you've got to add in the additional names. But if you're developers, you probably already crossed that one. Enabling application insights and just seeing how when you're doing multiple calls, like this example is using, what's working fast, what's working slow, where are the bottlenecks, how can you make it a little bit more efficient. I did use Microsoft Graph JSON batching. If anyone's used that, it gives you the ability to basically batch up a bunch of requests that go into different API endpoints and post it as one request to Graph. It goes out and parallel does all those requests and gives you one result back. So you're assigning an ID and the endpoint and the query. It processes them all. You then enumerate through your IDs and you know which ones come back from where. And that's a really efficient way of doing a lot pretty quick. Which, other than the first query to load the secure score and the most recent risk events, then it's JSON batching to get all the user information, except for the MFA piece, because that's going to table service, which is a different API endpoint. It's not Graph. The authentication is all done in the Azure Functions as well. What I did is I used a community library called PSMS Graph, which is a PowerShell module, which allows you to authenticate using OAuth to Azure AD. I modified that just a little bit so that it wasn't interactive, and it's using artifacts for the application that you're using for the permissions associated with the app to get the information it needs. So essentially, on every call, it checks to see if the access token is still valid. If it is, it does the request. If it isn't, it refreshes the tokens, updates the key vault, and outputs the other artifacts around the token so that next time it can receive a new access token, a refresh token. Icons, again, I'm not a developer, and I'm definitely not an artist. So I used the icon library, which you saw pretty extensively in there. Font Awesome was pretty easy to do that, and even gave me the Windows logo to, it's loading, it's doing something. All the code is all open source. It's all up on my GitHub, Darren J. Robinson / Microsoft User Security Evaluation Reporter. If you haven't worked at that, that's what user stands for. That was a 4 a.m. in the morning decision. And my blog, darrenjrobinson.com/hackathons, has sort of a write-up, links, and even a video that's more in depth about the app and tool and everything else. Did I go the wrong way? Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. And that was a very good example of a connected security solution that is just out there and live and working. So this is what we have, kind of tips and tricks and also like guidelines specifically around what to use when, for which scenario, and what are you trying to build. And based on that, we have our developer guide, which is a white paper that we published a couple of days ago. It's pretty new. So we definitely recommend your feedback. We would like to have your feedback and review it, take your time, and provide us all the feedback on GitHub. You can file an issue on GitHub in our Microsoft Security Dev. That's the GitHub location for it, and the links are there for that as well. So we really look forward to seeing more connected security apps and solutions. And we are happy to receive your feedback and make it a success for you and make it easier for you as well. So thank you.